I know that some of you might be thinking, oh no, he's not going to talk now after an hour of readings. But this is a very special night, and it's very difficult to do bilingually. I'm going to try not to do too much repeating and touch different things for each group so that we get something, okay? But bear with me, okay? Voy a tratar de decir algo en español e inglés sin repitiendo mucho, que podemos recibir toda la gente algo, okay? We began with these scriptures, and this is the only time we do this in the year, this big night. And we go through a bit of our salvation history. We take a decent look at the Old Testament, especially since we look at the big events, the creation story, the glorious creation story. And then we look at two figures that we just couldn't say that we spoke about the Old Testament and salvation history without mentioning Abraham, our father in faith, and Moses, the tool that God used to free the people from the slavery of Egypt. Now, it's a little difficult sometimes because I think the stories of Scriptures are so much bigger than the story. It's so much bigger. And we can sometimes get locked in on the literal story and then be confused sometimes. Others just say, well, whatever it says is exactly what happened. And then if you saw the Ten Commandments, Cecil B. DeMille, he did a glorious job with the Ten Commandments. We even saw the sea split in two. Of course, it was all magnified, and it was done under all the tricks of photography, but it sure looked like it. It sure looked like it. And it brought the story of Moses to life. We even got to see the burning bush that was on fire but never burned up. It just was glorious. But underneath all of that, underneath it, is the real story of the presence of God in our lives, in our world, and what God wants to do to us and for us and through us and with us. And I think that the gospel today takes us right to the edge, right to the point, because I suppose the biggest thing for us, the challenge, is to come to the story of the resurrection and simply take it on faith, because it's a difficult story to certainly to explain. And especially when the Scriptures, when we notice that when they talk about the resurrection, there is so much, almost I'll call it double language. It says one thing, but then something else is happening that doesn't make sense. So, for example, almost all the stories of Jesus' appearances after the resurrection, he's not recognized. They don't recognize him. And something has to happen. He has to call them by name or has to break the bread. And so obviously, we're dealing with a great mystery, and it is not just simply put. We can put it simply, but the truth is, it demands from us a real faith in something bigger than life and bigger than really what we can expect. So we come to this gospel passage. This is according to Mark, and they all tell it a little differently too. But the story is that Mary Magdalene and the mother of James and Salome brought spices so they could go and anoint the body of Jesus. And they were even perplexed themselves. They said, well, how are we going to roll that stone back? We got to get somebody big and brawny who can do that. This stone is huge. But then when they get there, the stone is rolled back already. And they're really quite confused. That's what the story tells us. And then in case you don't speak Spanish, it went on to say that as they went into the tomb, there was a man there, an angel, who said, what are you looking for? Jesus, he's not here. He's been raised. Because they were scared. They did not know what to make of this. And he said now, and tells them that they need to go to Galilee and tell everybody what they saw and what they've heard. We've got 5 people here who have come tonight, and this is the night that they receive baptism, confirmation, and Eucharist. And with all of this mystery in the Word, and with the greatest feast of our year, it's the resurrection of the Lord. And they come here maybe somewhat like these women who went to the tomb to anoint Jesus. And maybe that's how we go through life, dealing with our faith in God and in Jesus. You know, I don't think everything is explainable. And even when we explain it, it's bigger than us. You've heard me say it many times, but just the truth, the scientific fact that is measurable and observable. And I couldn't explain it scientifically, but there are probably some people here who could. And you've heard me say it, that the Earth is 93 million miles away from the sun, and that every day except today when it was raining, the sunlight and the sun heat actually leaves the surface of the sun and travels through space. The heat travels, and the light travels. And it travels at 186,000 miles per second. And it takes approximately 8 minutes to leave the surface of the sun to get here. Now, we know that. We've got it mathematically and scientifically proven. We know it. But I don't understand it. It's too big for me. It really is. I mean, I comprehend the words, but to me, it's pure mystery. It's just mystery. I said it about the beating of my heart. How many times in 70 years? I asked Siri one day, and she told me, I don't know what Siri is, told me, I don't know, I'll say 22,000 times. I don't know how many it is, I don't remember. And then multiply it by 70 years. Oh my God, how does this little thing here provide oxygen and remove from my body the toxic carbon dioxide and just keep me alive? It's been doing it for over 70 years. It's pure mystery to me. And I was thinking about earlier today, you know, why do we come here? Why do we come as a people of God to Eucharist and to these mysteries and repeating this year after year? This is about my 65th or almost 70th year that I've been at this service. And I've done it as a priest many, many times. And why? What happens when I keep repeating this glorious night and take in all of this mystery and wonder? It shapes me. I think to myself, even just Sunday Mass, get ready for this, do the math. There's 52 weeks a year, that's 52 Sundays a year. And so multiply that by 10, that's 5,200, and 50 Masses in 10 years. Multiply that by 7 generations, that's 35,000 times I've been to Mass at the minimum, because I celebrate Mass 4 times a day on Sunday here. So how many, just here at this parish, how many times have I celebrated the Mass? And how many times have you been to the Mass? This sister, a nun, once said to me that our life as Christians, as a community of Christians, as a people of faith, is about making memories, good memories, for ourselves, for one another. That we go through all of this to conjure up and discover and explore the mystery of faith. Because why? What happens if we really come to a belief in all that we do here? Processing in with a candle into a dark interior church, lighting everybody's candle from the candle that represents Christ the light, so that everybody gets a little bit of the light, and that the church is lit up, not as bright as with all these lights on, but we all hold little bit of that light, and we share that light, and what happens as faith grows? And is it possible, really, that could make us better people, more loving people? people that can stand before awe and mystery and be touched by it. So on this big night, it's the Easter night, hopefully these who are about to be baptized and confirmed will never forget this experience and the way that it was celebrated for them. You know, when I was a kid, we didn't do this. We didn't have catechumens. We stopped doing that hundreds of years ago. And it was after the council that it was brought back to us. And I am sure glad it was, because I think that these, even the children here, are old enough to never forget what happens in them tonight. And whereas we usually baptize the vast majority of us as infants, as babies, we have the clue what happened to us. And we don't have a single memory of it, unless the multiple pictures that are taken concoct a memory for us. And maybe does connect with what the brain experienced, but you know, it's by chance. But they will never forget this night, I am sure. And I hope it is power-filled for them and fills them with grace. Quiero decir, una palabra en español es solo que este gran misterio de la palabra esta noche buscando la creación y Abraham y Moisés y ahora esta historia de la resurrección es por nosotros a tocar el misterio en nuestras vidas, el misterio de la fe. Y yo creo que es imposible explicar todas las cosas de la fe. La resurrección en particular es misterioso. Es misterioso, pero creemos en eso. Y tenemos 50 días hasta Pentecostés a explorar en muchas historias de la aparición de Jesús resucitado a la gente. Y ellos poco a poco pueden entender que Él realmente estaba resucitado y estaba dando a nosotros algo que podemos morir y tener la expectativa que vamos a resucitar también y compartir esta vida con Dios para siempre. Me gusta y siempre pienso en esta canción de los latinos, un amor eterno, porque esa es la cosa que podemos recibir, un amor eterno. Y esta noche los catecúmenos van a estar bautizados y recibir la confirmación y la primera Eucaristía, que podemos explorar por toda su vida y también por toda su eternidad.